Well,
Well,
welcome everybody. Today we're going to do an activity where we're going to draw shadows, and there's a couple different things you might need. There's some different options, whether it's sunny or cloudy where you are. It's kind of cloudy where I am. So for this, you'll want some paper. You'll want something that's going to cast a shadow. So for me, I'm going to use a little toy. Maybe you use a larger object. You may end up using yourself or a family member. Um, you'll want something to draw with. So that could be a marker, or if you're outside, maybe you can use some chalk. And then if you're not somewhere really nice and sunny, you could try using a different light source. So I have a flashlight, and because I need both my hands, I've taped my flashlight to a water bottle so it'll stay nice and steady. But you can grab any collection of those things, and while you're collecting them, I will ask Elizabeth to go over some quick Zoom guidelines. Awesome. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So today, as I said, we're going to work with shadows. And shadows are made when some sort of object blocks light. So if I have my flashlight, I'm going to turn my camera down. I have my flashlight, and it is sending light across my paper, and my object, in this case, this little toy dinosaur, is blocking the light, creating a shadow. And like I said, where I am right now, it's kind of cloudy. So I'm going to use my flashlight to make shadows. But if you're somewhere really sunny, you can use the sun and see how that affects your light and your shadows. If you have a way to rest your flashlight, or if you have someone there who can help hold it for you, that'll make it a little easier. But if not, you can do this activity by yourself if you want to try to hold it steady on your own. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my camera back down. I'm going to look at how my shadow is set up. And right now I can see the light is coming from my left side. I'm not sure what it looks like for you, but that leaves my shadow on the right side. So what I want to do is I want to start by drawing the outline of that shadow. And I can use a colored pencil, you can use a marker. If you're outside, you could try using chalk on the sidewalk. You can do it any way you like. And I'm doing my best to follow the lines of my object. And I have one that's got lots of curves. We'll see. And I'll do my best because the shadow is going to end up meeting the base of my dinosaur on the little feet. So I'll do my best to line it up. But if I haven't accomplished that perfectly, that is okay. And if you have a really simple object, you could shade it in if you want to. I'm just going to do a quick shade in so I remember where the shadow was. Is anyone able to do it outside with the chalk or with the sun?
looks like Jacob and Jerome are.
That's awesome. All right. So I've drawn my shadow in. I did a pretty okay job of shading it in. So that was my first shadow. Is there anything you think we could do to change the shadow at all? Does anyone have any suggestions for something I could do? Arlo, is that a hand up, or are you just holding your pencil?
Just holding a pencil. All right.
I'm just holding a pencil.
Okay, cool. Does anyone have any ideas? So one thing I could maybe do is, do you think it would change my object or change my shadow if I moved my little toy around and moved the object? Oh, I see that Elizabeth is rotating her paper. So I'm going to try that too and see what happens. So I rotated my paper, which had my dinosaur on it, and my shadow moved on the paper, but it also got to be a slightly different shape. So if I go even further, my shadow is a really different shape. So I'm going to try drawing my dinosaur shadow again, maybe this time with a different color. So if you have a different color, that's great. If not, that's okay too. My shadow is a really different shape and size. Maybe this one, I won't color in because it's gonna get a little crazy if I have all the overlapping colors, but maybe you wanna do that. Yeah, I'll try it. Let's see what happens. I have colored pencils, so we'll be able to see through. So you can draw your second shadow after you moved your object. Does anyone else have another idea of something we could do to make a different type of shadow? Besides rotating our object around a little bit. Ooh, Elizabeth, I like that shadow. That's a cool shape. What did you use to make that shadow? What was that a shadow of? Oh, a little toy. That's cool. One other thing we could try doing is moving our light. So we moved the object first, but maybe I could move the light closer to the object or further away. So you can try moving your flashlight around and seeing what happens when your light gets closer or further away. I got it really close. You can see how close my flashlight is to my dinosaur. And I'm gonna try to draw its shadow now. And we'll see how different that is.
Jacob and Jerome, how's it going for you guys using the sun?
Whoa, it's really nice and sunny there. And I can see your shadow while you hold the camera.
Yeah, very cool.
Very nice.
Now you guys can't move the sun, right? So what are you guys gonna have to move to change your shadow? You could move yourselves. Maybe you could come back later in the day and see if that might look different.
That's a great suggestion, Elizabeth. So if you're doing this outside or you want to do it outside later today, the nice thing is we can't move the sun, but the earth is going to be rotating as the day goes on, which will make it feel like the sun is moving across the sky. So just like we can move our flashlight, I'll tilt it up, just like we can move our flashlight, and mine looks very silly right now, it's going to feel like the sun is moving across the sky. And you could go outside and either use paper or sidewalk chalk on some pavement, and you could try drawing your shadow or the shadow of an object over the course of a day.
Now Trey and Corinne said they did a shadow of a dino car. Do you want to show us what that looks like,
Yeah.
Trey? Well, and Elizabeth's showing us something.
That's really cool. Were those the same, Elizabeth, was that the shadow of the same object you did the other one of? That looks really different. Cool. So here's what I drew. These were all the same thing. And that first one, that sort of purplish, looks like a dinosaur, I think. But then as my light moved, it got to be a really different shape. When the light was really close, it was that tiny little shadow because it was almost directly overhead the object. Does anyone else have a shadow drawing they want to try sharing?
Yeah, Trey and Corinne are showing us theirs, and Elizabeth's showing us hers. You did a couple different objects. That's cool.
And what's cool is you could keep rotating. Put this back again. You could keep moving your object or moving your light, and you can add more drawings and see how they look. And I think it looks really cool when they're right on top of each other like this. And depending on your object, maybe it's a little difficult. I'm having trouble drawing all the legs and everything of mine.
Oh, Arlo's showing us his paper.
Oh.
What cool. Did you use, Arlo? What toy did you use, or what did you make your shadow with?
Is that
I see that. Is it like a bear? Can't quite tell.
What animal is that, Arlo? We're having trouble seeing.
It's a rhinoceros.
Oh, rhinoceros. Awesome. Very cool.
Mute myself.
Can anyone think of anything else cool we could do with shadows besides drawing them on paper as we go around? Have you ever done another fun activity with shadows before? It's okay if you haven't. I have one more idea that we can share once we're done drawing these shadows. I'm doing one more drawing with a totally different, ooh, it got even darker where in my house so you can see the shadows really well, which is nice. The little bit of sun I had went behind a cloud, which put a whole shadow on me, a cloud. So this is what my drawing ended up looking like. Doesn't really look too much like a dinosaur. You can sort of see that first one does, but as I moved the light around and as I moved the object, I got all sorts of different cool shadows which were made by the same shape, which I think is awesome. So one more thing we could try, so remember during the day you can go outside and try tracing the shadow over the course of the day and see how that sun moves across the sky and makes different shadows. You could also at night use a flashlight or a lamp to make some really cool shapes with your hands and shadows. And Elizabeth just posted a link in the chat and you can take a look at that, but there's really fun ways to use your hands to make different animals. So maybe if you put your hands like this, it'll look like a bird, where my hands don't really look too much like a bird right now, but if I use a flashlight on the wall in a dark space, maybe I'll be able to make a cool shape. There are some other ones that are more complicated. I think I've seen ones that are sort of like a bunny where your fingers are the ears. Are you making a bird, Arlo? Is that working?
Might have to wait till it's a little bit darker.
I like that it looked like your bird was flying and flapping its wings, which is cool. And you can think about different ways you could make shadows. And maybe some of those look like animals. Sometimes they just like really cool shapes. Trey and Corinne, what is that a shadow of? Can you show me what the real object looked like?
Pretty good. It's a purse. It's a Barbie purse.
It's a what? I did not quite hear you. I'm sorry.
I get it. It's a Barbie.
Oh,
a
Barbie.
Barbie.
That's really cool.
Purse.
Another thing you could
And
try.
they have a comb, a Barbie comb.
Did that make a cool shadow?
Yeah.
Another fun thing you
Well,
could.
I actually.
Oh, do you have something you want to add, Corinne? I'm sorry.
I didn't really color. I didn't do the flashlight for the purse because it was way more harder than I thought it would be.
To hold it steady while you drew.
Arlo, what have you got there?
Are those some bugs?
It's a bug.
Cool.
It's a
What kind
bug.
Oh,
of bug is that?
Yeah, we made an air hole and then put tape over the air hole because it was a big air hole, but the air can still go through the tape and you can breathe.
That's awesome.
We're
Where
gonna,
did you find that bug?
but yeah, we're gonna wait until he dies just so like he can like die so we can add him to a bug collection that we have upstairs.
Cool. There's a
Where
lot
did
of
you
things
find
going
him,
on. Maybe
Arlo?
your room have crazy eyes. That's fun. So I'll leave you with one last activity or thing you could try, which is
I found him in the mudroom.
the mud room. That's
Ah.
sometimes you find bugs there. They like the mud. One last thing you could try is if you draw some shadows of some different objects, you could then show those shadows to your grown-ups and see if they can guess what the object is. Because I bet if I showed my drawing, even if it was just one of these, and I showed this to somebody, they might not be able to tell what I drew, even though it's a shadow of the full object. It could be a cool game to try where you give them different options, see if they could pair the object to the shadow and see if you can trick them a little bit.
Looks like Trey and Corinne drew a bug too. Is that what you're showing us?
That's awesome.
Yep.
Very cool. Oh, and Elizabeth, I like your shadows. Those turned
Do you
out
know
really
what?
good.
Do you know what the bug is called?
What is the bug called?
An antenna bug.
An antenna.
Antenna
So
bug.
then has antennas and it's a bug. So I called it an antenna bug.
That's
Very cool.
very cool. And that's a really cool shape, Elizabeth. I like the toy you picked because it made a cool shadow with all those different bumps on it. Did you do the shadow right from above with the light? Is that how you got that fun shape? Or did you do it at an angle?
I put it like down here and then it made that shadow. And I have enough light from the window and I also have light over me, so I don't even need a flashlight.
That is awesome. Yeah, I think I would have trouble without a flashlight, but I'd like it a lot more if I could be outside in the sun and doing some nice shadow drawings like that. It's actually raining where I am, so I can't even draw on the sidewalk with chalk because it would just get washed away. I like that star too, Trey and Corinne. Anybody else have a drawing of a shadow or anything else they want to share?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
So
Corinne?
I made wings. I made wings.
You made wings on your bug, your antenna
So
bug?
and it kind of looks like a backpack. So I call it just like the bug, a wing backpack.
Cool. That's awesome.
Very nice.
All right. Well, if you have some drawings or some cool shadows that you want to share with us, you can post it on our Facebook page with some of your parents' help. And you can see, I'm going to keep holding up my silly drawing, but I would love to see what you drew because I bet it looks really cool and interesting because I can see what you've already drawn is a great start. So if you want to post a picture of that and then also include a picture of the object that made the shadow, that would be really fun to see how those two things line up.
Bye.
Bye, Corinne.
All right.
On
Bye,
Monday,
everyone. Hopefully we'll see you on Monday.
yeah, we'll be doing an invisible ink activity for that. So we'll use some chemistry to help us write a message and then have it disappear and then reappear so someone could read a secret message from us. So we hope to see you on Monday for that. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Ooh, cool drawing, Elizabeth. Very nice.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.